Everybody, this is day 1,672 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered treasonously on Fort Bliss. And sorry that we're coming on so late. Oh my gosh, it's 1 o'clock. We are really burning. We're more than burning the midnight oil. There's no time to sleep, and things are so exciting. It's just there's just no time to sleep. And we are just maybe save that. Okay. Make sure that I'm on. Yep, looks like I'm on. Okay. No, we are too busy writing documents. Some tough ones. There are some really tough ones that took a little time, and that's why I'm coming on late. And some other ones, I'm refiling other ones because we are hearing from um, the federal government every day, every day. And this is really important for everyone to know that things are moving very quickly. And this story is something that everybody wants to watch. You need to watch Richard Halliday's case. You need to watch El Paso. El Paso is the front door to the United States. It is geopolitically where it's at in this battle for our country. If we cannot control El Paso and what comes through that border, those ports of entry, and what is going on, what has been built up over the years there, the infiltration within our government, within our agencies, within our law enforcement, within our judicial system there, within our military there. This is a geopolitical hotspot because it is the front door to the United States uh, via Mexico, right? Via Mexico. So everyone needs to keep your ears, follow Richard Halliday's case and El Paso. It's it's huge, and it's big because we have filed an amicus brief with this before, right? We have exposed the criminal law magistrate court. We have exposed Bill Hicks being a usurper. We have exposed James Montoya as also not being correctly installed as a district attorney. He's not district attorney. It's Yvonne Rosales, right? And I don't know what the governor is waiting on. He needs to appoint someone really, really quick because right now we have no legitimate DA in the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office. And James Montoya committed crimes along with, so did Bill Hicks when it came to the installation of his of his position. And so he's no longer eligible. You know, there needs to be an investigation. So until then, there needs to be a DA in that office. You have to have a prosecutor in that office. There has to be a holdover there. The holdover, I don't know what Yvonne Rosales is doing. Her name is going to go down in history as, the non-DA. Um, so, and gosh, can you imagine you're duly elected, the district attorney, you take the oath, you're properly installed, you filed your statement of officer before you took your oath of office, you didn't tamper with with the stamps. You didn't tamper with the documents. You absolutely did everything right, and of course, you were retaliated against. She was definitely retaliated against, but now she's being vindicated, and where is she? Where is she? This is she could take her little glory lap right now in vindication, and her name would be absolutely established in El Paso history. But she's nowhere. She's not willing. So you know then the governor of Texas needs to do the appointing, right? And so, but we expose that, and we absolutely expose that Patrick Crucius has autism. We absolutely expose that he's not a white racist, white supremacist racist. That is all fabricated. We expose the Mayelas, um, uh, being Patrick Crucius's family right there in the federal courthouse. We've exposed. I don't know why my camera is not working. Let's see. Let's see if I can get it working. Yeah, I'll just replace that until I can see what's going on. So, and there's no mention, there's no mention of Richard Halliday, right? We could go on and on about we exposed Mario Raskin Ortiz. Well, we weren't the exact ones to expose that. That was Watchdogs that exposed that, and we reported it along with the Watchdogs. We reported it. So, that he is illegal, that he is unqualified to be the medical examiner. And, everyone needs to know that he has access. He's probably contracted out, I think most likely 98%, that he is contracted out by Fort Bliss, and that, he could give unauthorized access to certain areas when it comes to Richard's remains. He could give unauthorized access for things like that but he's not. Why is he in his position, right? Because he can't be trusted. He violated his visa. He's illegal. He's not qualified. So, and of course, that is that's a whole, and that's not being reported. That's not being reported in the news. They want to report on popcorn, or they want to report on, something. Um, I mean, I guess that's important too. I guess all news is important, right? But no, they can't say Richard's name because it exposes that the Sinaloa cartel infiltrated into and with the El Paso cartel is, and absolutely into the Fort Bliss cartel. Um, that the cartels were trafficking, that they had a vested interest, billions of dollars of profit to keep that border open. Their number one enemy, um, because they have worked years and years and years to infiltrate the system, right? To back and forth and through everything. And also have all of the networking for the trafficking that requires warehouses, that requires trucking, that requires shipments and the tactical move shipping units, that requires to have people uh, in timely places, right? So that they can move um, their trafficking goods to and from. And so that is what Trump wanted to do. What Trump wanted to obstruct their criminal activity, right? He wanted to put up a wall. right? He wanted to put up a wall, and he wanted to have a justice system that was for, you know, the protection of the Constitution, right? One that was a rule of law, right? And he wanted the rule of law followed. That this is back in 2019. So they had the cartel with their cohorts, which are the El Paso cartel and the Fort Bliss cartel. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting that these generals are involved, and I think it's very interesting. Um, I think that retired General John Kelly could tell us a lot, okay? Because he was DHS, right? He was Department of Homeland Security during this time. He could tell us a lot. And he also went to work for the Chihuahua government, the state of Chihuahua government, right? So he could really tell us a lot because he has insight um, into the Chihuahua government and, um, and the border region and Homeland Security. So, uh, and he absolutely then being having access to all of that information, that top secret information, he could absolutely identify the operatives for the Sinaloa cartel that are now designated as a terrible organization, right? A terrible organization. So he could absolutely tell us who is designated as a terrible organization. He could tell us who's in that El Paso cartel. He could tell us, and I wouldn't want to say El Paso sector, that whole sector that's going into New Mexico, the Santa Teresa International Jetport, um, which I'm going to get to uh, in discussions today because, and I hope I remember to do it. But he could absolutely tell us what's going on Fort Bliss, right? Um, Being a four-star general, he absolutely knows the ins and outs of what's going on. And this is why Richard's case is so big. It's an international criminal syndicate case, and at the center of it is Donald Trump. Okay, it's Donald Trump. He was the man that had the power and the ability, the know-how to build a wall. He was their real threat, and anybody that was MAGA, anybody that was uh, reporting the criminal trafficking, which would absolutely help President Trump at the time, right? Um, identify the crime and the criminals and um, absolutely do the audits and, the forensics analysis of what was going on the border. He would do really an autopsy of the border, a forensic autopsy of the border. That's what he would do. That's what he was doing because we got information that that's what was going on. So Richard was a threat to them because he was aiding President Trump. That really, he was absolutely an ally of President Trump, and I know that he was. I know that Richard was. Even and it wasn't really political for him. It was so bad, and they were trafficking kids, and they were trafficking drugs, and they were trafficking um just the worst type of stuff, and the weapons, right? The weapons and equipment and the bullets and everything like that, and it's absolutely his unit is absolutely we've absolutely connected it to the Sinaloa cartel, and they were transferring um, uh, weapons and arms and uh, bullets over to the Sinaloa cartel. That's really why Richard's case is so big. It's international, and now you know why from day one of President Trump's administration, we have watched him um, build the foundation. He's a builder, right? He's a builder. He builds these big high rises, and if we want the golden age, he has to build a foundation, and that foundation is to establish justice. And so he's been building a really, really strong foundation to establish justice and to get accountability. And that goes back to what uh, this Mario Raskin Ortiz, or the jet port, the international jet port, which, because of our constant requests for open records, you can absolutely tell where they're trying to hide things. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on so late. I'm wondering if they only one who is seeing a frozen screen. Yeah, I hope you're not. Are you seeing a frozen screen now? I hope it's working now. Um, so so going back to the jet port, uh, you know, El Mayo, Zampata. We have word that he may be um, being extradited back to Mexico for trial, and much better. Okay, thank you. Um, and why is that happening? Well, we absolutely have been reporting what has been reported, and that is that his case, there was things going on at the Santa Teresa International Jet Port that were not right. That were not right. When it comes to tampering of documents, tampering of flight schedules, tampering of pilots, tampering of the number on the plane. All of that has been reported through the Mexican authorities, that there was a real problem with tampering of everything to do with the flight, from the plane numbers to the pilots to the flight schedule to the log, all of that. And, that is just, think about that. That is so outrageous, right? That is so outrageous. Um, the tampering doesn't stop there. We've reported that with Bill Hicks, there was tampering, right? That he did not install correctly. And so then he started tampering, and he got the Secretary of State to um, backdate his document, which is totally illegal, totally criminal. There's something really wrong going on, right? And then we've reported, and of course, we've reported that in Richard's case, we have it confirmed that videotape was tampered with, his files were tampered with, um, his social security number, his identity, VA reports, all of that have been tampered with. Um, his credit cards, what is Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia's family doing with Richard's credit cards after he was murdered? There's we have reported that Richard's file, the whistleblower report, Judge Roger Rodriguez's whistleblower report, very, very important, was tampered with. We're hearing that Danae's file that's connected to Richard's case is tampered with. Um, we know that the young soldier that, uh, you know, supposedly lied and um, came in the middle of the night or whatever, that all that was tampered with in the CID report. And We know that now lately there's so much tampering, right? That James Montoya, his oath of office, he took the oath on the 1st and then he took it on the 6th and then, but the statement of officer was on the 6th and then that document was all tampered up. It was all tampered up. But so everything was tampered and the oath of office is tampered and it's not the right forms and then, he hands them in and they're so tampered, obviously tampered, and he still gets a stamp on there. They still accept it. There's something very, very wrong. There's some very, very wrong there, right? There has to be oversight. There has to be someone, refusing to authorize tampered documents, obviously tampered documents. And I think my mom always complains, her being German, that, you weren't allowed to have any kind of little folds in your paper or any kind of mistakes in your ink or whatever. You could never tamper with your paper. It had to be pico pelo, right? It had to be proper. And this is our problem. I think we're getting very, very sloppy and we can't keep good records over at the airport. We can't keep good records in the DA's office. We can't keep good records in the Secretary of State's office. We can't keep good records over there at the criminal law magistrate court, right? We can't keep good records over at the FBI. Remember, the identity and the substance of the whistleblower report was leaked by Agent Nieto. And going back to the magistrate court, someone has to give those fake judges that are supposed to be elected, but these individuals are appointed. And, I don't want to personally, it's not a personal thing against them. Um, they've committed a crime. These people are law enforcers, right? They absolutely know the law. They absolutely know they have full jurisdiction. They absolutely know that a court with full jurisdiction under the Texas Constitution requires an election. And yet they allowed themselves to be appointed to pull the wool over the eyes of El Pasoans and also to violate their constitutional rights, their civil rights, to violate their civil rights, the right to elect. Their talk about democracy. There's a constitutional crisis, a crisis with democracy in El Paso because these individuals absolutely have trampled on the rights of voting for your justices under the Texas Constitution. And so we've reported on that, but then they had to be commissioned, right? They had to be commissioned. And that happens in the Secretary of State of Texas office. That's out of Austin, right? There's something is very, very wrong. There is major criminal activity going on, and they want it to be in El Paso. And my assessment on this whole thing is that El Paso is the front door to the United States, and it is the trafficking hub of the United States. It is really the trafficking hub. And they make billions and billions of dollars, and they got greedier and greedier, and they absolutely, their greed and their infiltration into the system has brought people to be compromised. There's no other way to say it. It's really put a very bad stain on the United States because people, see those Benjamins, and they've gotten compromised through this. And where is Governor Abbott taking care of El Paso? Where is he? And it doesn't. Where is Yvonne Rosales taking care of El Paso? Right? I mean, these are the two, one Democrat, one Republican, that absolutely very quickly, just follow Trump's lead. Look how fast he makes decisions. Look how fast he protects the border. Look how fast he protects justice, right? Look how fast he can fire someone. The Joint Chiefs of Staff Brown was in El Paso, was on Fort Bliss when he got, trying to say, "Oh, we're going to do this and we're going to partner together," and do his whole political speech. And on his phone or through his aide, he got a message, "You're fired. You're fired. Your commander in chief, by your commander in chief, President Donald Trump." He was fired at El Paso, right there at Fort Bliss. So, things can happen very, very quickly. And I don't know, where is Governor Abbott um, getting justice for El Paso? Why isn't he addressing this illegal and unqualified medical examiner? Where is he when it comes to the court that has full jurisdiction, that handles over 90% of all the cases in El Paso? Where is he for the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court to, you know, at least, he could do something very temporary until an election. Since we reported it, and we absolutely reported it to him, he could have already had elected judges and restored democracy in El Paso and their civil rights, and he didn't do it. Because he doesn't want to mention Richard Halliday. He doesn't want to mention the Gold Star family of Richard Halliday. It makes you wonder, right? It makes you wonder what's going on at the border, and who is his biggest political contributors. So it's really um, interesting that no DA, no legitimate judges, no legitimate medical examiner, and that has access onto Fort Bliss and could absolutely, Mario Raskin Ortiz could absolutely give access to others into secured areas on Fort Bliss. And then, so this is a national security or issue, right? This is a national security issue. And, so wowzer. Think about that. Wowzer. And then, of course, you have the federal courthouse where something is very, very, very wrong going on there, with Patrick Crucius's family being in the federal courthouse, and Judge Guadarrama not recusing himself, right? And he should have absolutely recused himself with Michael Maiella. And what is Michael Maiella Jr. doing over at the DA's office? And then we have more people in the DA's office. Um, so the point is that paperwork has to commission all of this. That Bill Hicks was commissioned even with fraudulent eh, and lawless paperwork. Okay. Then there's fraudulent and tampering going on over at the airport. And then there is tampering in Richard's case at the CID. And then there's tampering and leaking in the FBI office. And then there is additional tampering with the oath of office and statement of officer with James Montoya. And then, of course, with the whole magistrate court. Um, and so, is there tampering going on? 100%. Is there deletion and swapping and all of this stuff going on? with the official government documents? Absolutely. Is that getting commissioned? Is that getting commissioned? Did James Montoya already get commissioned? His very fraudulent statement of officer got a stamp. So you're talking about Austin commissioning on a very obviously fraudulent document. Where is, uh, to be Secretary of State, you have to be pretty smart, right? Where's the oversight then, right? Um, and then we don't have to wonder. It's not our system that is bad. It is the infiltrators that are on purpose, intentionally not doing their jobs. They're not doing what they're supposed. How hard is it to follow instructions that are sent to you of, first sign the statement of officer and fax it in. It doesn't have to be notarized, y'all. There's no notarized notary. No, it doesn't have to be notarized. Please just, sign this statement of officer and fax it in before you take the oath of office. They get instructions just like that. We have the open records that show that. And then, you take the oath of office and then you submit it. I mean, how hard is that? And we have two in a row, and two in a row that were tampered with, and two in a row that were then commissioned with obvious tampering. Um, it just this is what needs to be corrected. Every government document has to be, there has to be accountability for tampering with records. And there's been so much tampering with our son's case. And so that is, that's what's going on right now. And we're reviewing. It's been requested from us to review, older um, forms and documents and DA forms and, um, making sure that they haven't been tampered with. So, turning in a lot of evidence from the very beginning of this when it happened. Um, so uh, there is a case being built. That's what they're doing. They're building a case for us, and um, it is the floodgates have opened, and I'll save the best for last, right? And I was on so late that I just I just changed the number, put it up. But I will talk about Cash Patel and Dan Bongino with President Trump, and of course Pam Bondi. We are getting information every day and communication every day, and this is the message. This is the message. Uh, Lalani Hart needs to be arrested right away. Right away. That's our message. Okay. And then the back message is, the foundation is being laid to get the people in place. This is a big, big deal because it has to do with the Sinaloa cartel and the infiltration of our military, and also, of course, into the law enforcement and judicial system in El Paso, and with representatives, right? With representatives. So, it's a big deal. It's international, and it's all happening, and we see it though, don't we? We don't need to be told that. We absolutely see that a foundation is being laid, and our response back is the FBI there in El Paso need to ASAP arrest Lalani Hart. There's just no reason to delay. to have her arrested. And the connection with her, with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, and their targeting of Richard's case and the whistleblower after the whistleblower, it, it wasn't like, um, okay, I'm going to expose the Walmart mass shooting as a political operative, and then you get retaliated against. No, you didn't. You could say that and you wouldn't get retaliated against. But if you want to expose the suspects in the murder of Richard Halliday, the Fort Bliss whistleblower soldier, you are going to get immediate retaliation. Okay, you can get immediate retaliation to shut you down. And that's very clear that that what Richard was reporting, what his journal said, what was going on, and everything, absolutely was a threat to this billion-dollar criminal syndicate. Um, absolutely. So that's our message today, and that needs to be shared. And all eyes on El Paso. Lots going on. This is an international case, so a lot is going on. So, especially, when you have all these dots being connected for you, we're very, very appreciative. We're so appreciative. So please share, um, because this is really very important. Thank you so much. We need to stop this billion-dollar criminal cabal, right? Um, absolutely. Um,